Side to side, and a rhythmic break.
Kana, The Bridge of Spirits is an action-adventure game that is developed and published by Ember Lab. The story follows Kana, a young spirit guide who uses her magical abilities to help deceased people move from the physical to the spirit world. While Kana is on an adventurous quest to help others, she soon unravels her own past, which is the unknown scar to her hand to her shoulder, and how she ended up in the village in the first place. As these questions soon get answered, more complications and enemies soon gets in the way of that, which forces Kana to protect those around her and search even more harder for answers. Knowing that this game was going to be out pretty soon, I had to go ahead and pick this up. I've seen footages of this game. I've seen gameplay. I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. This is a class session, so you're going to hear some noise in the background. Seeing so much footages and gameplay of it kind of pulled me in, and not just from the standpoint of the combat, but also the graphics. And it's a good thing I got the PS5 now, because by me getting the PS5, this is the first game that I've tried that I played it on, and I don't regret it. In fact, if you have a PS5, this is a must own, because the graphics on here is so freaking amazing. The game does not drag at all. It starts off by you playing as a character, Kana, and as you're playing as her, you begin to expand and explore your horizons, basically showing you the full power of the graphics that is handed to you. And by me saying that you need to have a PS5, you need to also play this game, I mean it, because there are times where I would just stop and just look and just see how beautifully done the graphics is and the character itself and how animated Kana is. Kana is a very beautiful woman. So there are times where I would just stop and just take selfies and just explore the area and stuff. The game is very detailed with the graphics and with the animation quality of the main character itself. I love that about games like this, because when it shows you the full terminology of the engine and what it's capable of, you will get more of that by playing a new generation console. So that's why I'm saying, if you are watching this review and you have a PS4, don't feel bad, because the game is actually cross-platform play when it comes to you upgrading your performance of the console. So whenever you get a PS5, I suggest, if you already beat Kana already, play it on a PS5 so you can see what I'm talking about. As progressing through the game, I'm just talking about the visuality and the graphics. Let's talk about the combat. The main reason why I wanted to play this game in the first place. The combat is fluid, but at the same time, I noticed that there are some times on the game where it would feel stiff. And what I mean by that is that you have a staff. You have a staff, but later on in the game, you have a crossbow, and you have these bombs where you can throw towards enemies, and you can trigger them by shooting by shooting arrows to them, or purifying them, which will cause a bubble to expand throughout the whole area. Now, those are three measurements of the game, mechanics of how you control the character when it comes to you using the combat. But I kind of wish there was more. I mean, you have a move where you can parry and do a counterattack, but it doesn't really take as much damage as I thought it would be. You can stun the enemies while doing so, but it's not enough to the point where you would feel as if parrying is necessary. So there are times where I would just dodge, or I would just use a move where I can just teleport to another area to to go to behind the enemies. It takes some stamina, but at the same time it helps more, because parrying on a game, it's tough. And I don't mind the parrying being tough, but what's the point of it being tough if there's no payoff to it? But other than that, the enemies are very, very advanced. They're very tough. And there are times where I would come in unprepared, still try to explore my horizons, and I'll get encountered with enemies trying to kill me. There are some enemies that will switch up their tactics so you can be on the edge, so you can, be more engaged and be more in the thrilling and being on the edge of your seat, because there are so many times where I was close to dying. There were times I did die, and there were times where I got so frustrated by me getting so close to the point where I was beginning to defeat the enemies. And there were times where I defeated all of them, and then another wave showed up and I had a little bit amount of health. So I suggest you guys roam around, try to collect as much rot as you can. And the rot is basically these little cute creatures that you find in the game that can help you progress through the game more easily. The more you collect, the more moves you unlocked, and the more abilities that you can obtain to defeat these enemies. And while doing that, you can also find these meditation spots that you could level up your health more. But that's also a double-edged sword in my opinion, because the more you level up your health, the more damage that the enemies can take from you. So I was getting Kingdom Hearts vibes as well by doing that. So I felt as if, what was the point if the enemies are gonna take more damage if I level up my health more? It's debatable, but at the same time, by me playing the Dark Souls series, me playing the Nioh series, me playing Bloodborne, when you level up your health, the enemy's health stays the same. I mean, the enemy's damage stays the same. But when I play a game like Kingdom Hearts or a game like this, I pay attention to how much damage that they take from me. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, like, how in the hell did they end up taking more health than normal? So it's because I leveled up my health, that's all. So it's, I guess they do that, I guess they did that so you could still be in the edge of your seat more. But if that's the case, let my health be the same. Now, that's just the enemies. I didn't even tell you about the boss fights. The boss fights is even more intense. Every boss fight on here is hard. There's no easy boss fight. There's not one boss fight on here that was easy. Every single boss fight that I encountered, I died a lot. And I was in a close of dying. Or I just got so frustrated, I just left the game alone for a few hours. Or I easily, like, almost got killed and I luckily ended up winning. Every single boss fight, I luckily won. Especially the ending. The ending boss fight was so freaking stressful. It was so painful. And I streamed it. So if you want to watch the stream video for just how I literally got punished and just got tortured by the gameplay of the end of the boss, because it wasn't just I had to fight like 2 bosses, and like the boss fight had like 3 waves of enemies, and it was so freaking painful. It was so like traumatizing. If you want to watch the shit that I've been through, I'll put it on the description box after the video. Now, after you defeat the bosses, you do feel a good, compelling, like, relievement after you defeat them, because they show a cutscene about how these people who was tormented by the hatred end up being consumed by the rage and end up being enemies. So Kena has to not just put these people towards the afterlife, but at the same time cleanse their spirit, which makes these bosses so hard, because you're going inside the mindset of their evil minds, their evil thoughts. So they have the advantage. So you have to cleanse them bit by bit, so you can find the advantage. That's why each of these bosses have a certain tactic that you have to be aware of. That's why I kept dying a lot, because it's not just, a hack and slash or just go and fight them. No, you need to, when an enemy is at the verge of defeat, and this is what I like, when you get used to their mechanics, they switch it up. It's like a real fight. You know what I'm saying? So when that happens, when they switch up their moveset, you have to switch up your tactics as well. Sometimes it's almost practically impossible for you to figure it out while you're on the brink of trying to dodge for your life and trying to figure out like how they're attacking you. But the more times you die, the more calm you be. The more you begin to figure out the enemy's predictions in his moveset. So please stick with it, stick with the pressure, because it's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off when you begin to understand where the enemies is coming from and the bosses. I keep saying enemies. It comes in both aspects. Now, as you can tell, I really like this game a lot. I love the graphics. I love the dialogue. I love the chemistry to the game. I love the combat. But like I said, the combat is debatable, depend on, like, the combat is fluid, but it's also stiff when it comes to certain measurements of how you attack. But one thing I did not like about the game is the fact that I love Kena. I love her character. She is a very kind-hearted character. And there are times where I was so pissed off playing this game, I would just look at her. And Kena, she always smiles. She's always in a cheerful mood. So that put me in, and that dragged me into keep playing it. I was like, you know what? If my character's not pissed, why should I be? But that's made me not like the game's like criminology of Kanan's character. We know very little about Kana. Like, we know like the criminology of her towards the later on in the game, but not enough for us to be satisfied. It was like a 5 minute clip of who she is and how she got the staff. But it didn't really show much of what else she represents. Like the scar on her hand. Where did that come from? What's her last name? Who's her parents? What do her parents represent? And how she ended up getting so attachment. How did she get so attached to her being such a skilled warrior of her cleansing spirits? We learn so much about the side characters. We know so much about the people that she cleansed. But we don't know a lot about Kana. Probably for DLC later, maybe. But that's a flaw. That's not good, you know. And I wanted to know more about her character. They, like I said, they showed more of that in the end. But at the same time, I just felt like if you want to play as a main character, the main character's criminology of her chemistry or his chemistry comes first. The side characters come later, you know. So, or you can just do both. As she unravels the past of everybody else's, she unravels her own. But they kept all that contained. And I'm picky about this with games like this because I know that when they do this, I know they're doing this so they can hold out for DLC. Now, I could be wrong. This could be the full package of the game. But we'll see. Other than that, the game is great. I love the game. I am happy that I caught an eye to this game. And again, this is a definite purchase for the PS5. If you don't have a PS5, you have a PS4, the graphics was just should still feel amazing. You should still feel the experience. But if you have a PS5 and you want that full graphics experience and that full like maneuverance of the characters, sets of the combat simulator, and just get the feel of the game's experience in its full potential, it's a definite must own on a PS5. I'm gonna have to give Kana the Bridge of Spirits a B-. When I finally got done with this game, I was still trying to find other collectibles and just trying to get 100% achievements of this game, well, trophies basically. But I looked at the trophy set and they said that I need to beat the game on master mode. I thought I've already played it on the hardest mode because that's what I was doing. I don't play my games on easy. But when they said that, I was like, no, thank you, no, thank you. I'm not going through that hell again. Especially if I can't keep the stuff that I've already got. If I can't keep that and I got to start from fresh, you can keep that trophy. You can keep that trophy locked. But either way, that's all I have to say for today. Please stay tuned for more of my upcoming reviews and videos headed your way. This is Hugo, your Critic. You know what? People was asking me where I get my shirts from. I'll post a link in the description box. It's like a few websites. But other than that, you guys take it easy.